Okay, so this is my February wrap up. I didn't get to read much this month. I got really, really busy, and I was still healing up from having pneumonia and RSV, but I did get a couple of good books in, a DNF, and then a lot of comics for the podcast. So I'll just start off. The first book I read in February was This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal Mohtar and Max Gladstone. It's really short, so like you can see why I wouldn't want to DNF this, kind of, I guess, like out of principle, is that what I would say? But by 25% into the book, like I was definitely like a quarter or more through, honestly, like I just felt like it was very boring, especially for like the shortness of, like, so like I've read like the 5, 6 plus 100 page books, and usually that, even like series, things like that. So like there's like slow moving. But I feel like when you have such a small book like that, when you're already a quarter or more in and it is still not like a slow burn story, but just slow, it's really not capturing, at least me. Other people could be captured by it. It just wasn't for me. And then my biggest complaint too out of the whole thing, because I did finish it, it was the writing style. It was just very purple prosed, and it was very much giving because there are two authors. We are so intellectual, but what they're trying to like give you is just very boring, and the pace just did not help. So by the end of it, this is like really bad. It honestly reminds me at the end of the day of like oh, my puppy is whining. There's probably a cat outside. It's all in the window. But yeah, like honestly, that book really reminds me, and this is going to be like a really niche thing to like compare it to, but Tumblr role players who do like the I'm a literate writer, and so they'll give you like 10 paragraphs and there's nothing for you to like reply back to because it's just droning on and on and on, nothingness, but like the writing is very purple, so it's good. That's what that book reminded me of. And then, like, to be honest, all of that aside, the ending just, it was two authors wanting to devastate you with an idea, but by the time you get to it, you are bored. It is incredibly dull, honestly. So that last little bit, like, because like it's quite dull for the lead up. Then you get to that last bit for like this devastating ending, and it just, it's kind of like you close the book and you're like, okay, that, 1 star. So that's literally what I did. I would be willing to read either author's other stuff, but at the same time, I really hope that they get some editing into their other books, because that specifically was just like really rough to read. The other book that I read this month was Tales of the Celestial Kingdom by Lynn. And as you know, I adore her writing, her works. And Tales of the Celestial Kingdom is kind of like over encompassing like different like little like tidbits to kind of like, I guess, broaden the lore of the book itself, right? While still using like mythos that it pulls from. And I mean, again, you've seen, I've used the other books, but like even this one, the cover, she just never misses. Her choice style of covers are gorgeous. And I'm actually currently reading Immortal as well, and it's just, the cover is gorgeous. But like I said, I will always enjoy specifically her writing style. I think her writing style is just very, to kind of call back, it is not purple prose writing, but it is so beautiful and just enjoyable to, like, whether you're reading or listening, it's just so lovely. That is definitely an author I would always tell people, like, yes, read this. Yes, try this. But yeah, overall, that was like a little compilation of the shorts. Like, I think there's 9 or 10. I, kind of don't remember at the moment. It's been a minute since I read it. And it's great, in my opinion, for like huge fans of the original duology, the Celestial Kingdom duology. However, my only thing is, and I do agree with other reviewers who have said this, I do think some readers need to keep in mind that yes, those stories are going to be really pretty. They're going to be interesting. But there is definitely not the effort put in of the duology. And when you get to the end of Tales of the Celestial Kingdom, it's literally what should have just been the epilogue for Heart of the Sun Warrior, so like the ending of the duology. So it does make me, I agree with this, and I've seen other people say the same thing, it really does feel like they used like an epilogue to just pump out another like short book, which feels very money grabby. So that kind of feels miffy for me a little bit, but I mean, otherwise it's still very good. I enjoyed it, but that was very like, kind of like, why all this for the epilogue, basically, you know? And then of course the last things that I read for February, is for the podcast of The 90s Never Happened, probably over here. It's with me, Daniel Agan, and Bree Rose. We talk about, like, specifically, obviously, 90s comics. Right now it's Marvel, and SpiderMan, stuff like that. So for February, I read like 9 SpiderMan comics, and then like a Valentine's Day, like, one-shot comic, of just like various characters. If you want to hear like more in depth on like how myself or like others who are far more knowledgeable feel about it, feel free to listen to the podcast. But otherwise, these comics for me are just nothing to write home about. I feel like a lot of the like specifics of like the dated commentary, ideology, all that just kind of like throws me out a little bit for my enjoyment. But if it's something that's up your alley and something you would want to hear like debated and conversated on, like I said, go listen to us on any streaming platform. Yeah. And then the last thing is a DNF for February. It's Ashley Poston's A Novel Love Story. I think this is like a really cute cover too, so I'm sad I didn't like it. But so I read her book, The Dead Romantics, and it was like very Raylo coded, things like that, right? But The Dead Romantics just really didn't like grasp me, right? But I still finished it because I kind of wanted to see, and it was just overall kind of like a okay book, right? That one I did DNF, A Novel Love Story. And I don't think I will pick up another Ashley Poston book for the simple fact that one of my things for like I've noticed for me, a lot of things that I do not enjoy like reading, or like it could be like movies, TV shows too, is like dated millennial specific like slang or like just ideas, so to speak. Her work is just incredibly millennial. I realized it probably like 20% in. Just the characters, there's like the female main characters, like narration style, all that. It just gives a lot of like that millennial twinge to it that just I didn't really like. And then on top of it, I think I got almost halfway through the book and I just realized we're like at almost like the halfway point. And a lot of this, and I'll show it again. It's not for a romance novel or any type of novel. It's not big. Yeah, it's like a little over 300. It's like 360 some pages. It's not a big book. But when you get halfway, so you're like 100 to 200 pages, it's just very repetitive. There was just like a lot of like repetition, a lot of like, it almost felt like she was trying to fill a word count, which again, any writer knows, like, sometimes you have to like fluff stuff to like get it through, but that felt like too much where it needed editing painfully so. It also very much read kind of like self-insert-y a little bit. And I'm not going to knock like writers for that. Like if you have an idea and you're like having fun writing it and like thinking of yourself, cool. But like in the editing process, make it not so obvious. That's just kind of like my thing. Cause then it feels a little like icky for me. But also like, this is going to be really picky. One of the things as a personal issue for me that just did not vibe with that book for me, is it's at the beginning, but there is like a random AI use of like slapstick passive, like joking. This came out like in 2024, 2025. So like definitely like height of the pandemic, height of the like AI, like craze, like starting to like really latch in. And I just feel like if that's when it came out, then you were probably writing it at least, especially if you're like using AI for the commentary, you had to have been writing it during the time where it was like in like, it's like, before, like right before the heyday. So I really don't like that they treated something that is obviously becoming a problem, especially when she herself is a creative, as an author, using it more as a joke than like trying to like, I guess, put in a little like, hey, AI, maybe that's just me, but it's like we're at the height of the conversation where it's now actively like harmful. And I don't feel like the commentary used there as a joke at all helps. It minimizes, if anything. So that just put a bad taste in my mouth. Not just for the book, but also for the author. I just feel like there was a choice that could have been made there and it wasn't. So you know. But that's just like a personal issue for me. But that was it. That's all I read this month, February. This is a week into March, and I'm working on Immortal. But yeah, I'll make another video soon. Bye.